Map is Temple of the Necrotic, the second of the two maps that Trendy released with the Ascension Part II patch and the spooky Halloween maps. I'm going to quickly go over my initial thoughts on this map, some of the quirks of it, and some rough build suggestions, as well as where to find most of the trick-or-treat boxes. So to start off, this map's pretty large. As you can see, there's a lane here, a double lane there, another lane there, two more there, as well as two air lanes, and one lane over here on the left that can be opened if you let this soulstone fall. So I think it's important to protect this soulstone, as you are a little bit starved for DU on this map. Particularly if you have to split some of your defenses for this, you can't really combine these into two. You'd have to rebuild a new wall here and deal with this all on its own. You can't combine it. So because of that, I'll show you where I like to place this wall first. I generally put it up about here. If this is a pretty good spot right here where I'm standing now for a ballista turret, as a ballista will hit things on the left and on the right. Similarly, I like to put a wall in this little archway here. Another great spot for a ballista turret. Over here, once again, another wall. It's worth noting that although this pathing shows it coming down to the left, they will come down here through the middle as well on this side. So if you're using traps, you will need traps on both the left here and the right. Now, over on this right side, there is another sub-objective, the Holy Artifact. During the map, Maldonis, the big boss guy up there, will spawn these auras on the map that deal damage if you walk in them. To get rid of these, you come stand by this holy mark until you start seeing that you're glowing and you have these little white wisps following you around. As you can see, I've got them on me now. Then you would run over one of these marks and get rid of them. However, if you leave this up, you have to defend a double lane here, a double lane here, and a single lane over here. So this is actually quite a lot to defend and is quite taxing if you leave it like this. What I've been doing is letting that Holy Artifact fall and placing a double wall right here. You might have to shift these a little bit to the left, depending on quite where the enemies are pathing in a given game. So one kind of downside of this is no matter what, you are going to have a mixed lane here. There are 5 lanes that intersect, so you're guaranteed pretty much to have at least one magic and one physical. So it's good to have a trapper for this situation so you can place both elemental chaos and explosive traps kind of where necessary. I would place elemental chaos along here and kind of along this outer pathway, and then explosive on the inside here. This is also a great spot for ballistas again, because you can hit a lot and pierce a lot here. And generally, if this was a lane that only had one physical, I'd be more inclined to use ballistas than I would be with this current setup. Placing frosty towers along this wall here, especially one over here and one right here, is pretty handy. You can cover both of these lanes effectively. You can put another one back here for this lane to cover here. I don't recommend putting the frosty for this lane up on this spot where I'm standing, because you'll either only be able to get stuff in front of the wall and a little bit out, or you'll be able to hit stuff far out but you won't get stuff next to the wall if you're only using one frosty for this lane. You're going to need to play with how many frosty you use. I don't have a build for Nightmare 4 on this yet, and since I have Nightmare 4 gear, I'm not going to recommend a full build for the Chainsaw Massacre difficulty, because if you're coming in this difficulty with gear that's roughly for this level, I can't give you an optimized build because I don't know how it would work out. As I said earlier, there's 2 air lanes. There's one up there to the left and one down there to the right. The right one comes along into here. I don't know, no, it will not show the pathway, but it comes over to here. And on the left, you can see this blue line showing where the air on the left flies. And the air doesn't spawn till wave 2. On wave 2, a skeleton boss called Trick will spawn. He'll respawn each wave now in the place where he last died. So if you kill him right down here in front of this wall on wave 2, on wave 3 at the very beginning of the wave, you're going to see him spawn there again. And each one of those skeleton kills counts for the skeleton monthly for October. And then later on, a boss called Treat will spawn. I believe wave 5 or 6 he spawns. And finally on wave 7, Mr. Maldonis up there, he will spawn himself. Now, to move on to the Trick or Treat chests. If you don't know, after wave 2 on these 2 Halloween maps, Trick or Treat chests will spawn. These chests will do one of 3 things. Rarely they will drop no loot. Sometimes they will drop loot. Or, best of all, they will kill you. When they kill you, they will spawn a copy of you, or a boss that's in a copy of you. It doesn't have the same stats or anything. That will spawn out of this pathway here and walk down like this to this wall. When you kill that boss, it has a chance to drop one of the new special legendary weapons, which I'll go over in another video. So now to go over some of the places where you can find this Trick or Treat box, I will start over here. I have seen one spawn up on top right here. I've seen another one spawn on this little plateau in front of this gravestone here, in this little area behind these caskets. One in front of this big stone hearth piece. Another one can spawn right up here on this ledge. Another one on the other side of this ledge here. Occasionally you will see one spawn up on top of this pillar looking deal. You just have to climb these rocks to get up to it. There will be sometimes one spawning on top of this tree stump. Another one down here in front of this fallen tree. And one right over here in front of the air spawn. This probably isn't all of the different spawns. Some of them are more common than others, and sometimes you won't see them all on a given map. Usually one spawns per wave, but sometimes you'll see 2 or 3 or even 4. I've heard someone get up to 5 in a single wave. I haven't seen that many, but it's certainly possible. And it's also worth noting that, like these poisonous spiders are the damage in the foresty area. And over here, if you ring these bells, a ghost will shoot out and will knock things into the abyss over here. There's another bell right here that will do the same. And finally a third bell right over here, which is pretty useful. So that's a pretty brief rundown of this map. When Nightmare 4 comes out tomorrow, I plan on playing this a bunch and finding a Nightmare 4 build. So expect sometime this week or next that I'll have a Nightmare 4 build up for this map. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them and I will get back to you.